When I collapsed at work, the doctors called my parents. They never came. Instead, my sister tagged herself at the hospital like it was some kind of joke. Can you even imagine what that feels like? To be lying there, tubes running through your arms, the smell of disinfectant surrounding you, the beeping of monitors the only sound in the room, and realizing that the people who are supposed to care for you the most couldn't even bother to show up. Tell me honestly, if your own family did that to you, would you ever forgive them? Because I'm still not sure I can. It started on a Tuesday morning, the kind of day that feels perfectly ordinary right until it decides to ruin your life. I work in an accounting department at a mid-sized company. Nothing glamorous, just long hours, endless spreadsheets, and coffee that tastes like burnt water. I had been pushing myself for weeks because we were closing the quarter, and everyone was on edge. My boss kept piling on extra work, saying things like, "You're one of my most reliable people. I know you can handle it." At the time, I took that as a compliment. I should have realized it was just an excuse to exploit my silence and dedication. I barely slept the night before because I'd stayed up finalizing reports, and my breakfast that morning was a cold granola bar I ate while walking to my car. The office was humming as usual, phones ringing, keyboards clicking, people forcing polite smiles as they passed one another. Around noon, my head started spinning, my vision blurred. I remember gripping the edge of my desk, trying to steady myself, telling a coworker, "I just need a minute." The next thing I knew, I was on the floor, and voices around me were panicked. Someone was shouting my name, and everything faded into black. When I came to, I was in a hospital room, and Roman 4 in my arm, the sterile air hitting my nose. My throat was dry, my chest heavy. The nurse smiled when she saw my eyes open. She said something like, "You had a severe exhaustion episode, sweetheart. You fainted at work." I asked her if anyone had been called, and she told me the doctors had contacted my parents immediately. I felt relief for a second because I thought, okay, at least they know. But hours went by, and no one came. No messages, no calls, nothing. I thought maybe they were on their way. My mom's always been a little dramatic about hospitals. She says they give her anxiety. My dad, though, usually shows up for things like this, even if he complains about traffic. So when evening rolled around, and still no one had walked through that door, I started feeling this sinking pit in my stomach. That's when my phone buzzed. I reached for it with shaking hands, hoping it was a message from them saying they were in the lobby. But it wasn't, it was a social media notification. My sister, Emily, had posted a selfie. She was smiling, hair perfectly curled, standing right in the same hospital where I was lying half conscious. Her caption, "Can't believe what's happening today. Pray for my sis." And she tagged the location, our local hospital. But here's the kicker, she never came to my room. She didn't even text me. She just used my medical emergency as a way to farm sympathy online. I stared at that post, my chest tightening. Hundreds of her friends were commenting things like, "Hope she's okay," and "You're such a good sister for being there for her." And she was replying to them with heart emojis. At that moment, I realized that my family's concern for me had become performative. It wasn't love, it was just content. The nurse came back in and asked if anyone from my family was coming. I told her I don't think so. She looked at me with this pity I'll never forget, the kind that makes you feel small and seen all at once. That night, I stared at the ceiling for hours, my phone on my chest, waiting for anyone from my family to call. My coworkers had texted to check on me. Even my boss, who I thought didn't care, sent a quick "get well soon." But from my parents. Silence. When I was discharged the next day, I took a taxi home. I walked into an empty house. No flowers, no get well cards, nothing. My parents had gone about their day like I hadn't just collapsed from stress and dehydration. I sat on the couch and scrolled through Emily's feed again. She'd posted a new update. "So thankful everything's okay now. Family means everything." That post had over 1,000 likes. I felt a mix of anger and heartbreak that's hard to put into words. I opened our family group chat and sent a message. "Hey, just got home. Would have been nice to see you guys." My mom replied first, "Oh honey, we figured you were fine. Emily told us the doctor said it was just exhaustion." My dad chimed in, "You work too much, try to rest more." That was it. No apology, no visit, nothing resembling love. That weekend I stayed in bed most of the time, partly because my body was weak and partly because my spirit was broken. Emily came by on Sunday not to see me, but to pick up a jacket she'd left at the house. When I confronted her, I asked, "Did you even think about coming to my room? Or was your selfie more important?" She rolled her eyes and said, "God, you're so dramatic. I was there, I literally tagged the hospital. So that's the situation I was in." Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and really think. If your own sister did that to you, if your parents ignored your medical emergency, would you confront them or just walk away? Comment below what you'd do, because I need to know if I'm crazy for how I handled this. Anyway, back to what happened. A few days later, my aunt, my mom's sister, called to check on me. She said she saw Emily's post and wanted to make sure I was okay. I told her the truth, that no one came to see me, and she was shocked. Apparently, Emily had told everyone in the family that she spent the entire night at the hospital comforting me. My aunt said she made it sound like she never left your side. I was speechless. Not only had she ignored me, she lied about it for attention. That was the breaking point. I couldn't let her get away with that. So I did something I usually never do. I posted my own story. I wrote, for those asking, I was alone in the hospital. No one stayed with me, but I'm thankful for the nurses who did. I didn't tag anyone, but everyone knew what I was referring to. Within an hour, my post started getting reactions, some supportive, others awkwardly silent. Emily texted me immediately. "Wow, can't believe you'd make me look bad like that." I replied, "You did that all by yourself." That night, my parents called me for the first time since the incident. My mom said, "Why are you causing drama online? Emily didn't mean any harm." I asked her, so it's okay that she lied about being there for me. My dad muttered something about family reputation and airing dirty laundry. That's when I lost it. I told them I was done being the forgotten one, the one who always got overlooked while Emily played the golden child. I told them that maybe, if they had cared a little more, I wouldn't have worked myself into a collapse in the first place. There was silence on the line for a few seconds before my mom said, "You're overreacting." I hung up. For the next few weeks, I didn't speak to them. I focused on my recovery, eating properly, sleeping, and trying to regain some sense of peace. My coworkers noticed the difference too. They said I seemed quieter, more withdrawn. The truth is, I wasn't just physically exhausted anymore. I was emotionally drained from realizing how conditional my family's love was. Then something unexpected happened. My company organized a small event to celebrate the successful end of the quarter. They gave me a recognition award for my hard work, and during the ceremony, one of my coworkers mentioned how scary it had been when I fainted. Someone took a photo of me receiving the award and posted it on the company's social page. Guess who commented under it? Emily, she wrote, "So proud of my sis, she's the hardest worker I know." It was like a slap in the face. I wanted to reply, but I didn't. I just realized she'd never understand. She cared more about the image of being a loving sister than actually being one. My therapist, because yes, I finally started seeing one after all. This told me something that stuck with me. She said, "You can't control how others show up for you. You can only control what you accept from them." And I decided right then that I was done accepting the bare minimum. Eventually, I started limiting contact with my family. I stopped attending weekly dinners. I stopped answering their guilt-tripping calls. I focused on building friendships that felt real, where care wasn't performative. My parents tried to pull me back in by saying things like, "Family is family." But I realized that family isn't just about blood. It's about who actually shows up when you need them. Months later, Emily's birthday came around and she threw a big party. I didn't go. She texted me later that night saying, "Everyone asked where you were. You made me look bad again." I didn't even reply. For the first time, I felt peace in my silence. Looking back, I can't believe it took me collapsing to realize how broken the dynamic in my family really was. They loved the idea of being a caring family, but when it came to actually being there for me, they disappeared. I used to think I was the problem, that maybe I was too sensitive, too needy. But now, I see that expecting basic compassion isn't asking for too much. Sometimes it takes falling apart to see who's willing to help you stand again. In my case, it wasn't my parents or my sister. It was a few friends, a kind nurse, and most importantly, myself. So was I wrong for confronting my family, for pulling away and choosing peace over pretense? Maybe some people will say yes, but I'd rather have no one show up for me than have people who only pretend to care when the camera's on. If you were on my side in this story, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries, even with family. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your family treated you the way mine did? I'll be reading your stories because maybe, just maybe, we can remind each other that real love doesn't need a tag to be seen. I'm just glad I finally learned that. I'll see you all in the next story.